one thing. I mean, I do stained glass, assemblages, collages, mixed medium, all kinds of things, mosaic tile. They say pick one thing. Don't sell your originals. Everybody thinks you guys are prints. There's a lot of really bad art. Doing art my whole life, but I'm still an outsider artist.
Oh, really?
I'm untrained.
Oh, I have feelings about that, but
Yeah, I do too. So what? So what?
there we go. Oh. But yeah, you follow what you know unless you try it. It's the same with trying different kinds of food. Yeah. You never know until you try something. You might love it, and it's your favorite food now.
Well, never again. It was loud, stinky.
What was that? Welding. Oh, welding. Yeah.
Oh, it stinks.
Yeah, go to Gobble. Now, I definitely do think, practicing the thing that you love the most, there's nothing wrong with that, and if that's the only thing you want to do, go for that. But if you one day feel like, I've been painting landscapes for 20 years now, I want to try sewing, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
One of yours was playing. In your presentation, something about the book. You write also?
No, but I do imagine a lot. I daydream. I try really hard not to sometimes, just because focus is good. But there are a lot of stories that I've thought of that I've never written down. But also, that's one of those things where I'm actually a little apprehensive to try. But I'm not opposed to somebody else writing a story and then I illustrate it, or they're inspired by something I do.
Have you ever just book illustrators get? I was going to say, have you ever been approached by a young? One was the one that you started with was her high school teacher who had a book, and his brother-in-law was illustrating it, but he was in prison, and they shifted him to responsibility for designs, windows and signs, fiber art festival,
Recording in progress. Yes. Private teaching. I have a YouTube channel, and I started an arts nonprofit with my business partner. Okay, so the portrait. Yep.
Next.
Yep, it's a portrait. Okay, so the oil is a portrait. Many of these have been commissioned throughout the years, either moments at weddings or special events from grandmothers to grandsons. The twins that I nannied for a decade, they're there, just something I saw them do and had to translate onto a painting. Presents for weddings, and then memorial images, as well as the beginning of the series I'm doing of people close to me and their portraits. Okay, the next are acrylics. More commissions in memorials, paintings, memorial wedding portraits, grandmother to the grandchildren, pinups. Pinups were very popular for a while. And even my own parents, while we were doing our travels abroad to Ireland and Scotland. Now we're getting into the whimsical area. Inking watercolor. These have been mostly commissioned throughout the years, but I've always been interested and inspired by folklore and fairy tales, and I like to bring that into the portrait sometimes. And I use symbology, especially with the gnome portraits. Everybody that's holding something is a symbol of that person's individual characteristics. But then I incorporate it into the musical fantasy of gnomes, fairies, children with fairies, knights, you name it. And my graphite drawings are mostly studies. Again, another memorial that is a reoccurring lady, that's my grandmother, so that was a memorial portrait for my father and his sister. The people on the right were a cruise I took to New England and Canada, and that they were all the servers. And they were such delightful individuals, I had to draw them, and it gave them such joy that it drew them, that I just kept going. And it became a staple that everybody that saw me came over and started talking to me and asking me what I was doing, and it got across the whole cruise ship somehow. It was just, I love that kind of community that art can bring. It just draws people in. So, and that was a gentleman in Quebec. I had to draw him. You can see why I had to draw him. He's amazing. Okay. Landscapes and estates. So, yes, most of these, no, the top two are commissions. A very recent one on the right was the red-tailed hawk over the tree line. Those top ones were about 20 by 40, and it was just so much fun to get all of that texture and life into that painting. And this is an estate that is close-ish to where I live, and I've known them for most of my life, and it was such a privilege for them to ask me to do a portrait of their parents' house. And I grew up wandering that house, so it was something really dear to my heart. This one here is my Inverary Low Tide, which is over on the table, and Dingle Peninsula is the oval, and those are part of the series that I'm working on right now, which are my travel series. A week in Ireland and a week in Scotland in 2019. I took so many photos, it's almost difficult to pinpoint which ones to do next, because it was just a magical, wonderful trip. And so I had to translate that. Others are studies, and I showed the peonies at Studio B this year. This is actually a book box I did for a commission. So one of those wooden boxes that you open up and then whatever you want inside, this painting of the ocean for a wedding was my commission. The two on the right were on suitcases, one on either side of the suitcase, that I did for an event at the Reading Public Museum. We did a special suitcase fundraising night, where a shop put the items in the suitcase and the artist painted the suitcases. The top middle is the commission, and the two on the right were something I made and then photographed, and then something I found along my hiking trips. Okay, the middle top is another commission, and all of the others were just studies I've done, plein air studies and watercolors, and I forget if that one was a study, but I love foxgloves. So I had to paint that as well. And as you can see with everything, they're all quiet moments. They're just peaceful, quiet moments that bring me joy and hopefully the viewer. And I try to bring that as often as possible. Wildlife and pets. Okay. So the birds on either side were both in the Audubon show in their own years. The pug with the red background was a present for my mother, because that's her baby. And the top middle was a commission I did. A girl and her favorite, very strange looking pony. But he was a doll, and they were both lovely to paint. And then the welcome signs were my Animal Gentry series, which I thought was hilarious, and the owners did as well. Okay. So back to the pugs and the jugs, and ink and watercolor. This owl here was also in the Audubon, and this 6x6 and that 6x6 were both in the ROCO 6x6 show in Rochester. It's a yearly show that's a fundraiser for the art gallery itself. The top right was a commission. It was her spirit animals, metamorphosizing into one another, from a butterfly to a bat to a raven to an eagle. And that, I do not remember the dimensions, but it's up. The cat was actually a wedding gift that was next to images you'll see later in my illustration. But that was the cat of the owner that I gave it to, and more pets. Because I love them, they're wonderful. Illustrations. Okay. So, with my theme of everything, there's a bit of folklore, fairy tales, quiet moments. The tea cup over there is a part of my travel series. That is Irish tea time. And pretty self-explanatory of where I was and what I was doing. The two next to that were also 6x6s that I did of just studies from my hikes, and as well as an image I had to translate from a YouTuber, actually.
What kind of things did you use there?
Micron paper ink. That's usually my go-to for pens for my ink drawings, because I know that they'll stay longer.
What kind of paper?
Watercolor, usually cold-pressed watercolor. Almost exclusively.
What
depending on it.
weight?
That I'm not sure about.
Okay.
Usually whatever I can get my hands on.
Okay.
And then slate paintings. I've done a lot of slate paintings over the years that I've used, but I've run out of slates, so I need to find some more. Okay.
I just saw some online somewhere.
I'll make a note of that. Please do. Okay. So you've seen many of these already. Then there are a few others. I know that the little illustration of, kind of hard to see, is a fairy riding a mouse underneath a mushroom. That is the one that's in Canada currently. The one above that was a nursery commission that I ended up painting, and am very intrigued about making a children's book out of someday. Lots of commissions, but I have everything from gnomes and fairies and knights and tree folks to alchemical symbols and Lord of the Rings, as well as animals across the board. Very fairy tale driven. Okay, no. Done a few of those. Continue.
You have some in the ready?
West Reading.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I have 2 or 3? 3 originally, 2 now, definitely. I'll tell you why in a second. And they're not in any order. First one is Costa Rica. It is Gaia's Blend, and it's 7 panels, which are cinder block walls of 7.6 feet high by 7.3 feet wide. The person who commissioned me, her neighbor, while she was away on vacation, cut down all the fruit trees that were in between their properties and put up a cinder block wall. So she then commissioned me to make it not look horrible and scary. So talking to her a bunch, we came up with the fact that I am very nature-driven, and so is she. And we decided on doing Gaia, Mother Nature, as an actual person, as well as different items from either Costa Rica itself or from suggestions by her or her neighbors or things that I saw along my walks on the 2 days that I took off to actually explore the country. 3 weeks long, 12-hour days of painting, headlight included at night, and weekends off to explore. I included fairy butterflies, capuchin monkeys that steal juice boxes from little kids. I have seen this in person, which was very funny. Little dogs, including her own, little puppies called El Chapo. Little poison frogs, sloths, and even lady flippers are included in this. It took a very long time, and it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had of traveling and just painting all the time.
What colors did you use?
It was chroma acrylic paint, which is supposed to be light fast and good for exterior murals. We also primed a lot on the cinder block, and then we sealed it up. It was all locked. Yeah. And this is during rainy season in Costa Rica, outside. So we had a handyman construct a kind of tarp thing that it kept poking holes in it for some reason. So I made a lot of friends while I was there, and they'd come and either help me block in painting or they'd tape up all the holes that happened. So community is lovely. But as last I heard, she said it's doing well, which is nice. Okay, so this is Overcoming Adversity. This is in West Reading, along the mural corridor, right behind the shops on Main Street. And this was basically a giant wooden 3D sculpture that I designed and painted. I got them to measure out the dimensions of the building itself, and then I scaled it down and did a color-coded map of the 3D pieces that then they projected onto the main board and cut out to the specifications. Then I took it home and I painted right outside in the autumn weather, all the texture and everything. I do have a video on YouTube that shows parts of that. And then the crew, thankfully the crew, because I didn't want to get up there to do that part myself, installed each piece according to the directions that I had on the color-coded map that I made. It was so much fun. So yeah.
How was it adhered to the wall?
Screws.
Screwed into
Screwed it into the
brick?
wall. Yeah, yeah. They were a really good crew. They anchored it in first with those anchors, and then they screwed it in.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite the thing. Okay, so Wherever I Roam was part of the Barnes Wall, which is on the same building as my Overcoming Adversity, and it's of that same tree in its own world. So I imagined its own world, kind of like a Scottish theme, because I love Scotland. And that was on parachute cloth that I painted, actually right along with the big pieces. And then the coordinator finished it off by painting the frame, and then they all installed the pieces up there. So it's got a nice barn feel where different artists come together and paint pieces that go on the wall together. This is my Ganesha mural, which is a private mural in somebody's home in their hallway, which made it very interesting because I'm 6 foot tall. The hallway is not 6 foot tall, and I basically was scrunched up a lot to paint this. But it was so fun. It was a picture she took while she was traveling in Nepal. And I just had a wonderful time getting all that texture and the light and the mushak, the mouse detailing in the middle. It was a very fun commission to do. Okay, and this was my third, but now it's not there anymore, mural. It's the size of a brick. Oh. So it's a micro mural for the West Riding Fire Company. It was on 69 News at the time, but some of them haven't lasted because either people took them off or it's supposed to be a temporary museum. But some of them are still there in places. Mine, unfortunately, didn't last. It was sealed up very nicely, though. So it withstood the weather very nicely, even though it was watercolor paper and watercolor. Mm-hmm. But that was fun to do. There was a whole bunch of artists from all over the place that added to it. And then they had an app that took people around to see all of these temporary micro murals around the town. It was really nice.
Aren't you going to the book?
I don't really know what they did for that one. I wasn't there at the time.
You just write a mural.
I just made it, and then I think I was on a trip somewhere out of town, so they said they'd do it for me. Okay, this is my most recent mural. So this is the Enchanted Forest in a horse trailer, in the sleeping quarters of the people part of a horse trailer. So they said that they wanted to sleep under the trees wherever they went, so I gave them a forest. It's quite lovely.
I actually got to lay there.
You did get to lay there. You got me the commission, actually. But also, as I like to do with most of my art, I hid little things around it. So her favorite birds, squirrels, little fairies flying or hiding, and even little eyeballs here and there that you can see if you look just right. So I gave her just a nice place that she can always find something new while traveling with her horses in the back. That was very fun and very awkward to paint. Yes, she got a video of me laying on my stomach trying to look like this. It was great. Okay, graphic design. So a lot of them have been my art that I just translated into graphic items, and in this case, temporary tattoo designs for events. So here's one of my little graphic drawings turned into a little tattoo. They worked out very nicely. I was pleasantly surprised by that. Other ones have been illustrations for commissions or branding or just for the fun of it. I did children's book coloring pages as well as digital portraits. The main thing I do in graphic design is small business branding. I designed this entire menu and then we projected it onto a giant board and then I wrote out the entire menu. That was quite sweet, very fun. I'm also working on making signs that we're going to put up onto phone cords later on for customers to know where to order. Then cleaning services, Reiki, math tutoring. Lingerie shops, I work there, so I've been doing a lot of the branding for her over the years. Pretty self-explanatory, and the Triptych Federation is the nonprofit that I started with my business partner, so I've been doing a lot of branding for that over the last 2 years. And this is pretty self-explanatory. Somebody needs an image or words on a window, they call me and I come over and I do it. Lots of fun. Very cold oftentimes, especially in the holiday season, but it's a lot of fun. I usually get a lot of good conversations from passerbys. That was a present from my parents. Oh! Okay. I don't know. I think I made that. I did. Lots of times. Yes. From new baby signs to wedding certificates, to wedding signs, house signs, holiday signs, memorial signs on the backs of cars. That was an interesting. It was for her cat. It wasn't for her husband. It was for her cat. Yes. More house signs, shop signs, and then the top ones on the right are actually wedding guest sign-in pages that I did for people. The top right, as you can see by the little sign next to it, is in French, because that is one of the things that is in France. All of the guests signed a ribbon that was going along the fishbowl. And the two fish are the people that got married. The castle behind it is the castle where they got married in France. Wanted to bring that together for them. And for the trees, the guests all signed the leaves. And then there's a milk jug welcome sign, because everybody needs a milk jug welcome sign. Art. So sometimes commissions can go all over the place. Hats have been very popular over the years. Tees, hot cozies, sweaters, joke shorts. They kept him very warm, and it was very hilarious to see him in it. But crocheted shorts was definitely an interesting one that I got. I've also taught people how to make felted animals, and I brought the actual felted owl in today. Those hats that are on it are actually a commission for a snake, but I don't have a snake, so I did my owl as the model. Those are my most recent commissions. They were really fun to make, I have to say. But also, I've never had that commission before. That was a fun one. And I have a minor in weaving, so I haven't been doing a lot of weaving lately. I did teach my mother how to weave when she retired, so she's been doing a lot of that stuff, and I've been helping her along the way. It's been fun. As soon as I get my loom within a place where I'm at, more weavings will happen then. Events. Yes. I like to do a lot of things, including body painting. So the top two were from body painting events in West Reading. The first is a peacock lady on the right, and the second is an ancient wrathful goddess. And she played it very well. She accidentally scared a child when she was posing. It was glorious. But also, then she talked to the kids. It was fun. I've even done fashion shows for West Reading where it says, I, me, you, be you, in different languages on their bodies in different places. As you can see, that was an interesting one. I've also done ice sculpting, sand sculpting, and pumpkin decorating at events. We've got a mushroom man on a toast, a snail with an ice cream cone on top, 2 mermaids, 1 upright and 1 in a bathtub, a slumbering pumpkin with 3D sculptured elf guys, and a little snuggy toy for the pumpkin to sleep with. And then the sand sculpture was 2 gnomes drinking coffee outside of their tree stump home with a sign that says, "Coffee is life." You can tell that I was in front of a coffee shop.
How did you sculpture sand?
How did I sculpt sand? A lot of water, tiny little tools of whatever I could get. I just got this general ceramics tool for the most part. I think I might have even used a pen at one point just to like get in there, and a lot of patience for when things decide to crumble. Which that has happened. I usually go to the beach and I do sculptures there, and this is just an easier way for me to not have to go anywhere. They brought the sand to me. Okay, paint and sip classes and private teaching. So I've done paint and sips of all kinds, from children's parties to actual adult paint and sip classes where they actually had adult drinks. And it got a little ruckus, but it was a lot of fun. To private teaching where we do plein air painting, felt work, metal work, painting in general, pretty much anything my clients or students ever want to do, that's what we'll do. Currently I'm doing oil studies with my student right now, except sometimes she changes her mind and wants to do color pencils. So I'm very flexible in whatever my students want to do. Brings us to YouTube. So I found that over the years, whenever I'm doing work out in public, people tend to gravitate towards me and start watching what I'm doing. They're always like, I hope you don't mind. I never mind. It usually gets conversation and everything. So I decided to do time-lapse work of almost everything I've done lately. I'll record it and do time lapses and put it up on YouTube with music in the background and sometimes explanations of what I'm doing. And I think we're gaining some popularity, generally speaking, and it makes me really happy because I get to go back and look at stuff I've done. It's just something really nice to do. It's under my name on YouTube. Very easy to get. I've got probably about 10 more videos that I'm editing right now in order to put up there. So it's an ever-growing collection.
Do you monetize? Do you make money on it?
Not yet, 'cause I don't have as many views yet, but if that ever happens, then I will monetize them. Absolutely. And the last is Triptych Federation. So that is the global arts nonprofit that I and my business partner Sarah have started. I'm an artist and she is an art historian, and we just love the arts so much, and we love the communities that can happen from art lovers of all kinds. So we started this, and eventually we will be offering grants, educational and networking opportunities for early mid-career visual and performing artists, professionals, and scholars. So it's going to be a very large thing if we can get to that point, but right now it's just 2 of us. It's very small. So the things that we're focusing on right now are promoting artists. We want to showcase all these people that are creating beautiful things, and sometimes not so beautiful things, but we want to show everybody. So we, on social media, every once in a while, we do artist spotlights. Somebody looks familiar here. Of them and their work. And we have a questionnaire that we can send to people. They fill it out, and then they send us photos, and we put it all together. We're also doing art talks, where right now Sarah's doing the talks, because she's an art historian. She's doing sculptures around the Reading Public Museum, different animal sculptures throughout Berks County, and a talk, the first part of the Daniel Leibskin series, which he's an architect, that she's done, and those are on YouTube, on the Triptychs YouTube right now. We're also starting TikTok of studio tours. Why do you sleep? What? No, never. I don't like being bored, that's for sure. TikTok, but also we want to do more studio tours because I find that intriguing and seeing the places where the art is made. I know mine, personally, is very messy right now because I do all these things at once and then I get busy and tornadoes. But that's part of the fun. It's great to see the artists in their place. So we want to start doing more studio tours. So right now, that's what we're focusing on. We have a website that we're working on. It's almost ready to be out in public, and once it is, we're going to have a 4x6 fundraising art show that's virtual. So we'll have the artists send the pieces into us, we'll sell it, and whatever thing we make from each one, that artist will get a percentage, and we'll have the other percentage to help make more stuff. So that hopefully will be maybe in the very early of the new year, maybe before, we'll see. But we're hoping that it gets bigger and more people are interested in it, and eventually we can even pay artists to provide more content along the way.
How many artists do you have involved in that?
At least 9, 10, at least 10. I don't know if I put everybody else there. I just put them up really quickly. But yeah, and a lot of them, I know a lot of the ones that we've gotten to do Artist Spotlight so far have been interested in doing more content, like tutorials and educational things, and just even more studio tours and stuff. So we're hoping by doing the one thing, it'll generate more interest in everything else.
Do you have a physical place? Are you guys working on a...
We're still working on that.
Still working on
Yeah, because life gets
So eventually
in the way.
you'll have a place where actually you can
Yes,
go to...
yeah, it's actually connected to my partner's house.
Oh, okay.
So the whole downstairs is going to be an office space where we can actually do lessons and videos and have a space that not a lot of people, because it's small, but some people can come and actually physically do things. Pretty much a maker space. And then our goal is to maybe rent something later on once we have more funding. And then the ultimate goal is to have a campus itself where we'll have buildings and different things, and we can do artist residencies and performances and showcase and all of those things. But we're very small right now. So it's mostly virtual. But, yeah. So that is where we are. I've done some work over the years.
Do you have a medium that you prefer over others? You seem to be very capable in all areas.
Thank you very much. Lately it's been oil. Lately I've really been gravitating towards oil, especially when it comes to portraits, because I feel like I have more control over the subtleties that I want to translate. I love acrylic because you can do stuff really quickly, it dries so quickly, but I really like the subtlety you can get with oil. Watercolor and ink has been a very good staple throughout the years. It's been very popular, but lately it's been more oil.
So most of your work is commission work? That's how...
Yes, over the years it really has. And at one point I wasn't doing any work for myself, and I realized, I have to do it for myself.
So are you, the series that you're working on, are those for yourself?
Yes.
Yes. Are you going to be showing those somewhere?
Yeah, eventually I'll start asking galleries. But yeah, I have 2 series that I'm working on.
Do you
Portrait?
see yourself by 2024, or do you think so going to 2025 before you would have one ready to show somewhere?
Depends how busy I get within the year. That's usually how I determine how many pieces I can make. Because the oval one, the single peninsula, that took 2 days.
That's all.
I was just as shocked. And so was my mother. She's like, it takes you months to do some of these, and that took you 2 days. Okay, make more. So, but sometimes it takes me months. It just depends on life in general. But I'm hoping sooner rather than later to have a show. Yeah, I have a lot of pieces that I have in my mind to do. Yeah.
So you see it more as a series type of show as opposed to like a retrospect showing your...
I mean, I'm never opposed to doing a retrospect of all of them that I can get my hands on, because a lot are commissioned, so they're all over the place. But I know I could get my hands on a few. I would absolutely do a retrospect, but the series that I'm doing right now is the travel series. That would just be that. And then I have another series which are Portraits of Loved Ones that I'm doing. So I would probably just do one. So thank you, everyone.
Let's give her a really big hand, everybody. Any questions?